For weeks, the spotlight around Caitlin Clark grew more intense, yet many felt the conversation everyone was waiting for never truly arrived. Fans voiced their frustration. Commentators danced around the issue. The tension kept building, and then, without warning, the silence began to crack. What made the moment so unexpected wasn't that people were finally talking, it was who decided to speak. The voices cutting through the noise weren't coming from league officials or carefully crafted statements. They came from some of basketball's biggest names. LeBron James, Luka Doncic, Steph Curry, and several others stepped into the discussion, and their reactions felt impossible to ignore. These weren't routine compliments or polite acknowledgments. Their words carried conviction. They spoke about what they had observed, what they believed, and why the situation surrounding Clark had become impossible to overlook. And Steph Curry, in particular, appeared unwilling to stay quiet any longer. After watching the debate grow louder, after seeing the criticism, the physical play, and the constant scrutiny, he finally addressed the topic. The reaction was immediate. When a superstar of Curry's stature publicly weighs in, people listen. Suddenly, the conversation shifted. Yet Curry wasn't the only one making headlines. Several NBA stars went on record with strong opinions that challenged the narrative surrounding Clark. Their message was clear. This wasn't simply hype or a temporary sensation. They viewed her as a remarkable talent deserving respect. Among the most surprising responses came from Pascal Siakam. Many expected a cautious, predictable answer when he was asked about players receiving attention and admiration. Instead, he delivered something far more revealing. Without hesitation, he brought up Caitlin Clark, not as a passing mention or a polite gesture, but as a player he believed belonged in conversations usually reserved for basketball's elite.
Oh man, Caitlin she's a beast, man. Like, and they love her. So I'll probably say Caitlin Clark. I love Tyrese, but she's another level in terms of just love.
Think about what that really means for a second. The comparison wasn't being made between Caitlin Clark and another WNBA star. Instead, her name was being placed alongside one of the NBA's most dynamic floor generals, Tyrese Halliburton. That alone turned heads, but Pascal Siakam didn't stop there. He doubled down, saying Caitlin was receiving the most love. And that's far bigger than a compliment. That's validation. That's a statement that forces people to reconsider the old idea that the WNBA and NBA exist in completely separate worlds. When a player's name starts appearing in conversations usually reserved for basketball's biggest stars, something important is happening. Siakam could have mentioned countless players, yet he chose Caitlin Clark. That choice speaks volumes. It wasn't about creating buzz or chasing headlines. It felt like evidence of a larger shift taking place right before everyone's eyes. It suggested that Caitlin had crossed an invisible line, earning recognition beyond her own league, and players like Pascal were openly acknowledging it. The fact that he volunteered that opinion without any obligation made the moment even more powerful. Then there was Wnba. He's not known for delivering lengthy speeches or producing viral soundbites. In fact, his comments are often straightforward and easy to miss. But when the subject turned to Caitlin Clark, something felt different. His words carried a level of sincerity that couldn't be manufactured. There was no polished messaging, no carefully rehearsed talking point, just a genuine reaction. In an era filled with scripted responses, that kind of authenticity stands out. Obi brings energy, confidence, and excitement every time he steps onto the court. Yet when speaking about Caitlin, his approach changed noticeably. It wasn't merely admiration. It felt deeper than that. It sounded like appreciation for someone whose influence extends far beyond statistics, highlights, or anything that can be measured.
Caitlin's amazing. Super amazing. She's a great player. Having her be courtside and watching our games is awesome. We see the excitement that she has on the sides, but just like she's doing that, we do the same. Like when they're playing, like it's so much, it's a joy to.
What stands out isn't the wording itself, it's what was hidden beneath it. Caitlin wasn't being discussed as someone outside the circle. She was being spoken about on the same level, with the same respect, and with the same energy. That's the part people can't ignore. The celebrations, the support, the recognition, it all mirrors the way NBA players acknowledge one another. That kind of mutual respect is rare, and it says more than any headline ever could. Watching Caitlin Clark courtside and realizing NBA stars genuinely pay attention isn't just a cool visual. It's evidence of a real basketball bond. This goes far beyond, look, a famous person is here. There's authentic appreciation behind it. And that's exactly why Obi's comments mattered. They weren't flashy. They weren't designed to dominate social media. In fact, many people probably overlook them. But beneath those simple words was a much bigger message. Caitlin is no longer viewed through the narrow lens of women's basketball alone. She's viewed as a hooper, plain and simple. And once NBA players begin speaking about you like you're already part of their world, something has changed. Most athletes take the easy route when offering praise. They throw out familiar lines about talent, skill, or potential. Tyrese Haliburton didn't do that. He chose a completely different approach. Sharing a city with Caitlin gave him a front-row seat to everything surrounding her. His support didn't feel forced or strategic. It wasn't praise delivered because it sounded good publicly. It came from witnessing the pressure up close, understanding the constant attention, and watching her face every challenge head-on without backing away. That perspective made his words hit harder because they came from someone who had seen the entire storm unfold in real time.
I think for me, getting to actually spend time around her, be around her, get to know her personally, she's just an amazing person, an amazing player. She deals with a lot, there's a lot of rhetoric behind her that she really has no control over. And I think that the way she handles that is just amazing. Like, I think when it comes to the game of basketball, like, she's probably top 5 most famous people that are playing right now, just in general. That includes.
Those are 5 of the biggest names of this generation. And that's NBA All-Star Tyrese Haliburton placing Caitlin Clark in a conversation that includes LeBron, Steph Curry, and Nikola Jokic. Not because of headlines, not because of social media excitement, because of what he's seeing unfold in real time. He sees the numbers, he hears the noise, he watches the endless media attention and feels the energy surrounding every appearance. More importantly, he understands the weight that comes with carrying a franchise. As a young star himself, Tyrese recognizes something many people miss. Caitlin is navigating a spotlight that grows more intense by the day. But what makes his comments so powerful isn't just the praise. It's the concern hidden underneath it. He's not only defending her game, he's defending the person behind it. His message quietly shines a light on the criticism, the pressure, and the distractions she never signed up for. Yet through all of it, he believes she's ready. More than ready. Then comes LeBron James. And when LeBron decides to speak, the sports world doesn't simply hear it, it reacts. Every sentence becomes a headline. Every opinion sparks discussion. That's the influence earned by someone who has been the face of basketball for 2 decades. So when he addressed Caitlin Clark, it wasn't a casual compliment tossed into an interview. There was weight behind it. There was purpose behind it. His words felt like a strong endorsement delivered at exactly the right moment. While debates raged and opinions collided from every direction, LeBron cut straight through the noise. He focused on the bigger picture, the part many people were overlooking. In doing so, he highlighted what this entire moment represents and why so many eyes remain locked on Caitlin Clark as the story continues to unfold.
Because everybody is looking for you to say anything and they're going to splice it and cut it and make it a negative thing. And I think for her, the one thing that I love that she's bringing to her sport, more people want to watch. More people want to tune in. I saw for the first time that they had a chartered plane for the first time in their league history. They flew private. That should be celebrated in his own right.
LeBron isn't merely defending Caitlin Clark, he's defending what happens when a player changes the game itself. He has watched the weight she's been forced to carry, not just headlines or endless scrutiny, but the burden that comes with shifting an entire culture. Few people understand that pressure better than he does. He knows what it feels like when a league's future suddenly revolves around your present. That's bigger than statistic, bigger than moment. That's legacy territory. He has lived through the spotlight, the impossible expectations, and the constant target that follows greatness. Maybe that's why his words carry extra meaning. Maybe he sees a reflection of his own journey in hers. What Caitlin earned from LeBron wasn't simply praise. It was something harder to obtain, respect. And those are not the same thing. Then there's the challenge itself. Calling for a 3-point showdown against one of the most watched shooters on the planet takes undeniable belief. Being the player bold enough to initiate it demands even more. That's where Trae Young enters the picture. Confidence has never been missing from his game. He built his reputation on fearless range, dramatic shot, and an attitude that never backs down. Yet something shifts when Caitlin Clark's name comes up. The confidence remains. The humor is still there, but underneath it sits something impossible to ignore: genuine admiration. Suddenly, this isn't just another shooter recognizing talent. It becomes something much bigger. 2 elite competitors connected by a rare understanding. A moment where greatness quietly acknowledges greatness, and everyone watching can feel the significance behind it.
Hype about Steph and Sabrina. I know that you have spoken about Caitlin Clark. You're a big Caitlin Clark fan.
Oh, yeah.
She, of course, is an excellent shooter. Would you ever do like a Caitlin Trae 3-point contest at All-Star?
Of course I would. I've gotten to talk to her too throughout her college years. We're the only 2 people that ever led college in points and assists. That's a crazy stat. I'd have to definitely practice a lot more than I have for these previous 3-point competitions, nah, I'd be ready for sure.
At first glance, the statistic sounds impressive. Then the truth hit. Across the entire history of NCAA basketball, only 2 players have ever finished a season leading the nation in both scoring and assists. That isn't merely rare, it places someone in a category almost nobody can reach. What made Trae Young's reaction so compelling was what he didn't do. There was no condescension, no forced compliment, no attempt to protect his own status. Instead, there was genuine respect, the kind that catches people off guard. He wasn't speaking as if victory in a shooting contest would be automatic. Quite the opposite. He openly admitted he'd need more repetitions to keep pace. That level of honesty reveals something bigger. It's the ultimate sign of admiration. Caitlin Clark isn't just part of the conversation anymore. She has become the center of it. Every debate seems to circle back to her, and Young appears completely willing to step into that spotlight beside her, or even challenge her directly. Then came Paul George. Unlike many voices chasing attention, George rarely speaks without purpose. He isn't interested in noise. He prefers clarity, and what he said about Caitlin may have been one of the most revealing takes from any NBA player so far. He didn't rush into applause. He didn't attack. Instead, he shifted the lens entirely. While everyone else focused on highlight, controversial fouls, and record-breaking shooting numbers, George pointed towards something deeper, exposing a perspective most people never stopped long enough to notice.
You gotta put it.
This wasn't a shot at Caitlin Clark. If anything, it was a revealing glimpse into a much larger shift unfolding behind the scenes. Paul George never questioned her brilliance. In fact, he reinforced it by describing her as a force that altered the landscape almost overnight. But hidden within that praise was a deeper truth, one that rarely gets enough attention. What happens to the players who built the road before the spotlight arrived? The veterans who fought for respect, pushed for better travel conditions, competed before packed arenas were the norm, and spent years performing without cameras tracking every move. They sacrificed, endured, and worked relentlessly, yet never received the same level of recognition. So when someone enters and immediately becomes the face of everything, emotions naturally surface. Even when that success is deserved, the sting can still be real. George wasn't excusing resentment. He was explaining where it comes from. More importantly, he gave that frustration a human face, and in doing so, he exposed how significant this moment truly is. Caitlin isn't simply attracting attention. She has become the center of a transformation touching every corner of the sport. Then the conversation shifted to Luka Doncic. Anyone familiar with him knows exactly what makes him different. He rarely rehearses his thought. There's no elaborate packaging, no attempt to soften every opinion. What you hear is usually what he believes. That's why his response to a simple question about women's basketball landed with unexpected force. There was no pause, no carefully crafted diplomacy, no effort to satisfy everyone. In only a handful of words, Luka changed the energy of the discussion, delivering a statement that felt honest, direct, and impossible to ignore.
Favorite women's basketball player?
Caitlin Clark.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't like Paige Buchers?
Well, she's okay. I didn't see her playing the women's NBA.
But that wasn't the surprising turn. The real shift happened in what Luka's words actually revealed. The situation itself wasn't unusual, yet his response carried a meaning many people missed. He never dismissed Paige's talent, not once. Instead, he pointed towards something harder to ignore. Caitlin Clark is proving it on the professional stage right now, and in Luka's eyes, that changes everything. She's no longer just a college sensation or a name attached to unforgettable March highlight. Every night, under pressure, through contact and constant attention, she keeps producing. She keeps creating. She keeps showing up. There was admiration in Luka's answer, but it wasn't loud. It was subtle, almost hidden between the lines. He understands better than most what it takes to reach the highest level and then justify the hype once you get there. That's why his words felt different. It wasn't media talk. It was basketball language. One competitor recognizing another. When a player of Luka's caliber gives that kind of acknowledgement, it feels less like praise and more like validation. In his mind, Caitlin has already crossed that threshold. She belongs. She's already become that player. Then the spotlight shifted again. From afar, Steph Curry had been watching everything unfold. He saw the physical play. He saw the criticism. He saw the reactions piling up while many remained quiet. And eventually, he decided enough was enough. One of basketball's most respected voices finally stepped forward. His comments weren't aimed only at supporting Caitlin Clark. They carried a message for everyone paying attention. The tone was unmistakable. If this continues and nobody addresses it, the consequences could escalate quickly. It wasn't merely support. It felt like a warning shot. And when Steph spoke that directly, people listen. But he wasn't done. After addressing how she was being treated, he went even deeper, breaking down her game with the kind of precision only he could offer.
I'm sick of watching Caitlin getting attacked
If the league doesn't step up and protect her, things are going to get ugly real fast.
Think about that for a second. The greatest long-range shooter the game has ever seen, Steph Curry, openly compared Caitlin Clark's shooting ability to his own. That isn't media hype. It isn't manufactured excitement. That's recognition coming from someone who already conquered the highest peak imaginable. But the most revealing part wasn't even the shooting comparison. That's where the story takes an unexpected turn. Steph didn't stop at range or shot making. He went much deeper. He pointed to the qualities that serious basketball minds immediately notice and casual observers often miss: the instincts, the decision-making, the timing, the passing angles, the ability to see plays developing before everyone else realizes they exist. According to Steph, those pieces are already present, and that changes everything. He's not simply entertained by Caitlin Clark's game. He genuinely admires it. There's a huge difference between those two things. What makes that praise so rare is who it comes from. When the player who permanently transformed modern basketball essentially says you possess every necessary tool, it no longer feels like a compliment. It feels like acceptance into an exclusive club, almost like a torch quietly being handed forward. Then, just as the momentum seemed clear, another moment shifted the conversation entirely. Sometimes words create headlines. Other times, what isn't said becomes the real story. That's where Jason Tatum entered the picture. And strangely enough, it was his silence that grabbed attention. The question couldn't have been simpler. A Celtics superstar was asked to name his favorite WNBA player. It seemed like an easy opportunity, a chance to acknowledge the athlete many view as the league's biggest attraction, offer support, and echo sentiments already expressed by numerous stars across basketball. Instead, something unexpected happened. Rather than mentioning Caitlin Clark at all, Tatum delivered a brief, emotionless answer that emmed